In the early 1970s, a raw talent arrived in the maroon and white of Manly from Woy Woy. A young fullback whose solid frame and fearless style would come to define an era. Nicknamed Wombat, Graham Eadie made the fullback position his own at Manly after the retirement of Bob Batty. Eadie was built like a compact tank, not the tallest, but immensely powerful, deceptively quick over the ground and safe under the high ball. In the kicking game too, he was more than competent. He became Manly's main point scorer from 1973 onward. Over his time at Manly, from 1971 to 83, Eadie amassed 237 first-grade games, 1,917 points from 71 tries, 847 goals, and 3 field goals. In an era when the Sea Eagles were a powerhouse, he helped steer Manly to 4 premierships: 1972, 1973, 1976, and 1978. On the representative stage, Eadie donned New South Wales colours and represented Australia in 20 tests between 1973 and 1979. One of his career highlights was the 1978 Grand Final replay, where he produced a virtuoso performance, scoring a try, teeing up 2 more, kicking 3 goals and a field goal. A one-man demolition of Cronulla. Later, he took his talents to England, signing with Halifax and even winning the Lance Todd Trophy as man of the match in the 1987 Challenge Cup final. By the time he hung up his boots, Eadie had not only been a linchpin in Manly's golden years, but stood among Australia's finest fullbacks of the 20th century. However, legends do not age in silence. For years, those close to Eadie had observed changes: confusion, memory fog, withdrawal from social life. At times he struggled with routine tasks. His wife Leah has spoken of the heartbreak of watching a once formidable sportsman diminished. He gets very frustrated with things he can't do. In 2019, Eadie underwent open heart surgery, an 8-hour ordeal. During that period, scans revealed something unsettling. Radiographers reportedly counted 13 past fractures and abnormalities in his skull. Marks consistent with repeated head impact. It was a hint that the game he loved might have exacted a hidden cost on his brain. It apparently took a third-party intervention to push him towards proper neurological assessment. Former great Wally Lewis reached out and encouraged Eadie to see Associate Professor Rowena Mobbs, a specialist in chronic brain injury. Mobbs observed that Eadie's presentation was classic for chronic traumatic encephalopathy, CTE, a degenerative brain disease thought to arise from repeated head trauma, both concussive and subclinical. At age 71, the diagnosis now stands. Eadie is believed to have CTE. Symptoms he experiences: memory loss, disorientation, cognitive decline, are typical of this insidious disease. Physicians note that while dementia is often seen in old age, certain types like CTE can emerge earlier in life, especially in those with a history of repeated brain injury. His daily life has become fraught. He reportedly struggles with simple things: turning on television, navigating menus, or even managing sleep cycles. Leah speaks of days when he will rise early, drift back to sleep, then awaken again, his head full of pain. On top of the cognitive decline, Eadie battles heart issues, the double whammy that further limits his capacities. He isn't alone in the tragedy. In Australia, CTE has entered public awareness partly through post-mortem diagnosis of former rugby league players. Recent revelations, for example in the case of the young Manly recruit Keith Titmus, have shone a light on how even non-elite or youth players may carry a hidden burden. What makes this story so wrenching is the contrast between the man who leapt high under bombs, bumped off defenders on endless damaging runs, who kicked his team to glory, and the same man now sliding into frailty and fog. Fans must reckon with the paradox, how the very toughness that defines elite athletes may sow seeds of vulnerability. Edie's tale underscores a painful lesson that concussion protocols, brain health monitoring and long-term support for contact sport athletes are no longer optional. The sport may celebrate heroes, but must also care for them. Already, Edie's diagnosis seems to have sparked dialogue among old teammates and rivals. The wives of ex-players compare notes, noticing subtle cognitive shifts in their husbands. The issues that were once hidden, memory lapses, irritability, confusion, are now spoken aloud. In a small way, his suffering may spur greater awareness. Though the man is diminished now, his legacy is not. In remembering Graham Eadie, one should recall not just the points he scored or the matches he won, but the man who embodied courage and now fights a different, invisible battle with dignity. I'll leave you with that thought.